Good morning, everyone. Myself, Dr. Sejal Kamil, Assistant Professor in Pathology. Today, we will talk about malaria. Learning objectives of today's lecture. At the end of the lecture, you are able to enumerate types of malaria, able to discuss life cycle, pathogenesis, morphological feature, and complications of malaria, as well as able to discuss diagnostic tests available for malaria. As we know, malaria is a mosquito-borne disease caused by Plasmodium, which is transmitted by the bite of infected female Anopheles mosquito. The term malaria originates from Italian word malaria, means bad air. Malaria may have contributed to the decline of the Roman Empire and was so pervasive in Rome that it was known as the Roman fever. The disease is widely spread in tropical and subtropical regions such as sub-Saharan Africa, Asia and Latin America. Every year, there are about 3 to 500 million clinical cases of malaria with 1 to 2 million deaths, most of them in Africa. Inadequate administration and implementation of malarial control measures, failure of insecticides, and emergence of drug-resistant strains of parasite are responsible for resurgence of malaria. There are 5 species of malaria parasite. These are Plasmodium vivax, which is most common worldwide, Plasmodium falciparum, malaria, ovale and novalis, which is recently recognized. In India, the prevalent forms of these infections are vivax 70%, falciparum 25 to 30%, malaria 4 to 8%, ovale 1%, while Plasmodium novalis is rare. Let us discuss life cycle of malaria parasite. Malaria parasite consists of two cycles for their development, human cycle and mosquito cycle. Human cycle is also known as schizogony. Schizogony means asexual reproduction of daughter cell of parasite. Mosquito cycle is also known as sporogony. Sporogony means sexual reproduction of daughter cell of parasite. Human cycle further divided into 4 stages: pre-erythrocytic schizogony, erythrocytic schizogony, gametogony, and exoerythrocytic schizogony. Let us talk about human cycle. Human cycle begins when Plasmodium infected Anopheles mosquito bites a human and transmit sporozoite into the bloodstream. Sporozoite migrate through the blood to the liver where they invade hepatocyte and divide to form multinucleated schizons. This stage is known as pre-erythrocytic stage. This schizont rupture and release merozoite into the circulation where they invade red blood cells. Within red cells, merozoites mature from ring form to tropozoite to multinucleated schizons. This stage is known as erythrocytic stage. Some merozoite differentiated into male and female gametocytes. This is known as gametogony. These gametocytes are ingested by the Anopheles mosquito and mature in the midgut of the mosquito, where sporozoites develop and migrate to the salivary gland of the mosquito. The mosquito completes the cycle of transmission by biting another host. Now, sometimes sporozoites in the liver cell persist and remain dormant. This dormant form in the liver cell are known as hypnozoites. Hypnozoites are a quiescent stage in the liver that exist only in the setting of P. vivax and P. ovale infection. This liver cell does not causes clinical symptom until their reactivation and release into the circulation. Later onset or relapse disease can occur up to month after initial infection. So, due to the existence of this hypnozoite and their subsequent activation, relapse is common in case of P. vivax and P. ovale infection, while it is absent, relapse is absent in case of P. falciparum due to the absence of the hypnozoites. Mosquito cycle. The sexual cycle of malaria parasite actually starts in the human host by the formation of gametocyte. We already know that the gametocyte are formed inside the human, which are then transferred to the mosquito for further development. In the midgut of mosquito, one male gametocyte develop into 4 to 8 microgametes. From one female gametocyte, only one macrogamete is formed. By the action of chemotaxis, microgamete is attracted toward macrogamete, lead to subsequent fertilization and formation of zygote. The motile form of zygote is known as ookinete, and by the action of motility, ookinete penetrated the wall of stomach and lies on the outer surface of the stomach wall and develop into the oocyst. An oocyst matures and it increases in size, and a large number of sporozoids develop inside it. The oocyst rupture and release sporozoids in the body cavity of mosquito. The sporozoids are differentiated or distributed to different organs of mosquito, and they have a special predilection for the saliva or salivary gland. The mosquito is now capable of transmitting the infection to man. This figure shows life cycle of malaria parasite. We already know it consists of mosquito stage and human liver stage. Human stage starts or begins when the infected female Anopheles mosquito bites a person and sporozoids are injected into the circulation. These sporozoids via circulation reaches the liver cell and infect the liver cell and subsequently lead to formation of schizont. This liver stage is known as erythrocyte schizogony. With the passage of time, this schizont rupture and lead to releasing of the merozoites. Now, this merozoid infect the red blood cell. Within the red blood cell, they mature from ring form, tropozoites or schizont. With the subsequent rupture of the schizont lead to release of merozoite. Now this merozoite again infect the another RBC and the cycle again begins. Sometimes what occur, the merozoite directly develop into such as male and female gametocytes. Now these male and female gametocytes are injected by the mosquito during blood milk. Now this gametocyte inside the midgut of the mosquito further develop into the microgametes and macrogametes. Now one of the microgametes fertilizes one of the macrogamete and lead to formation of zygote. Now the motile zygote is called ookinete. This ookinete with the action of penetration of stomach wall lies on the outer surface of the stomach wall and develop into the oocyst. After further growth and maturation of the oocyst, numerous sporozoids are formed within the oocyst. With the passage of time, this oocyst structure and release numerous sporozoids inside the body cavity of the mosquito. These sporozoids now migrate to the salivary gland. Infection is transmitted to the human by the bite of mosquito through saliva when it takes a blood milk. The human liver stage is sometimes the sporozoids in the liver cell persist and remain dormant. This dormant form in the liver cells are called hypnozoids, which is most common in case of P. vivax and P. ovale. These hypnozoids active and develop into the schizont a few days, months or even years later. This schizont rupture and release merozoite and causes relapse. Thus the relapse of malaria is most common in case of P. vivax and P. ovale due to the persistence of hypnozoids and their subsequent reactivation. In case of P. falciparum along with its saliva into the blood of intermediate host, that is man. Incubation period is varied among the species. It is 10 to 14 days in case of P. vivax in P. falciparum and P. ovale, but it is 28 to 30 days in P. malaria. The typical clinical features consist of febrile paroxysm, anemia and splenomegaly. Other symptoms are perspiration, weakness, jaundice, enlargement of liver, increased respiratory rate, dry cough, muscle pain and back pain, which is rare. In rare cases, malaria, particularly P. falciparum, can lead to impaired function of the brain and spinal cord, seizures or loss of consciousness and may become life-threatening. The symptoms of malaria may appear in the cycles. The duration of each paroxysm coincides with the rupture of erythrocytes and release of sowers of merozoites. Thus, febrile paroxysm recur every 48 hours in case of P. vivax and P. ovale, and every 72 hours in case of P. malaria. There are three stages of a typical malarial paroxysm that consist of cold stage, hot stage, and sweating stage. Cold stage, there is a feeling of intense cold, vigorous shivering, and rigor that lasts for 50 to 60 minutes. Hot stage, in which there is intense heat, dry burning skin, throbbing headache which lasts for 2 to 6 hours. And sweating stage, there is profuse sweating with declining temperature, may feel exhausted, and mode of transmission. Now we know that apart from transmission by the bite of Anopheles mosquito, other modes for transmission of malaria are blood transfusion, use of contaminated syringe or needles, bone marrow transplantation, and congenital. Methods for diagnosis of malaria are clinical diagnosis, microscopic examination of blood smear, rapid diagnostic test, serological techniques, detection of nucleic acid of parasite by polymerase chain reaction, and flow cytometry. Since symptoms of febrile illness like etc. Smears. This is the gold standard for diagnosis of malaria. In our setup, we use this method for diagnosis of malaria. Blood smear should be obtained before the next expected febrile paroxysm or at the onset of fever and chills. Collection of blood immediately following a paroxysm of fever is not likely to show intraerythrocytic parasite because of lysis of the parasitized red cell. Thus, the blood smear should be obtained before or at the onset of fever and chills. Blood smear should be taken before anti-malarial drugs are given because there is scarcity of parasite after drug administration. EDTA sample is preferable. One thick smear for detection of parasite and one thin smear for definitive identification of the species should be prepared. Thick smear is more sensitive for detection of parasite as it allows examination of a relatively large number of blood. Thick smear. On the first figure, right side you can see thick smear, and on the left side is the thin smear. After complete air drying, the thick smear is round in shape. After complete air drying of this thick smear, it is stained with Giemsa or field stain. Red cells are lysed during staining and parasites are better visualized under a clear background. In the below figure, you can easily see the clear background and the parasite 7 degree for 15 minutes. Methanol and stain with a Giemsa or Leishman stain. It is used for definitive identification of parasite, means either it is vivax, falci or malaria, and the determination of the parasitic density. Now let us see the morphological features of different type of malaria. First one is the P. falciparum. We already know the stages of development of malaria, like from the ring form it develop into the trophozoite, schizonts and gametocyte. So in case of P. falciparum, you can see the ring form in which you can see the two purple or pink color chromatin dots with a finely formed ring. In the trophozoite, the ring become more enlarged and irregular in shape. In the schizont, it contains numerous amount of the merozoites. And in the gametocytes are of the P. falciparum are banana in shape. Sometimes you can see Mauro's cleft in the P. falciparum malaria. These are not fine, but the coarse granules in the RBC. In the last figure, you can also see there are multiple rings inside the RBC. The rings are mostly delicate. Some of the rings are attached to the aegis of the RBC. This is known as occult form of parasite, which is one more point for the diagnosis of P. falciparum. This is the morphology of P. vivax malaria. You can see only one parasite inside the RBC, in which in the ring form it has a ring that is thickened at one part and has a chromatin dot at the other end. In the tropozoid is amoeboid in shape. You can easily see there are fine granules in the parasite. This is known as Schaffner's dots. Schizont, which contain numerous merozoids, which are pink to purple in color. Sometimes you can see also brown to black color, which is known as hemozoin pigment, which are formed due to the breakdown of hemoglobin by the malarial parasites, and gametocyte, which is round to spherical in shape. Morphological feature of P. malaria. The ring is somewhat similar to P. falciparum, but the tropozoid is diagnostic, which is band form. Band form tropozoid is the diagnostic criteria for P. malaria. In the schizonts, merozoids are somewhat arranged in the form of rosettes, and gametocyte, which is similar to P. vivax but smaller in size. And the diagnostic feature of P. ovale, in which you can see multiple rings inside the RBC, which is similar to P. vivax, but one of the diagnostic criteria for P. ovale is the RBC become fragile. Tropozoid, which is also similar to P. vivax, which is amoeboid in shape. Schizont, which contain numerous amount of merozoids, and gametocytes, which is spherical or round in shape. Now the criteria for reporting on thick smear. Malaria are reported by the examination of the blood smear. If you see 1 to 2 parasite per 100 high power field, it is graded as +1 grade. If you see 11 to 100 parasite per 100 power field, it is grade 2. If you see 1 to 10 parasite in every high power field, it is grade 3. And if you see more than 10 parasite in every high power field, it is labeled as +4 grade. It is recommended to examine at least 100 oil immersion field in thick smear and at least 200 oil immersion field in thin smear before reporting the smear as negative for parasite. Another method for diagnosis of malaria is by detection of malarial parasite by rapid immunochromatographic test. This method also we used for diagnosis of malaria in our setup. These rapid kits detect following antigen: histidine-rich protein 2, HRP2. It is synthesized by the asexual blood stages and young gametocyte of P. falciparum. So, this is more specific for P. falciparum. Parasite lactate dehydrogenase, PLDH, and enzyme found in all 4 human malaria. So, it is not useful for definitive diagnosis of species of malaria. Other tests for malaria are serological tests, which detect antibody against malaria parasite in patient serum. These tests are not helpful as they cannot distinguish between current and past infections. PCR based on application of parasitic gene and species identification, which is more expensive, and flow cytometry, which detect hemozoin pigment within the phagocyte, but it is once again more expensive. There are multiple complications of the parasite, which are cerebral malaria, renal failure, non-cardiogenic pulmonary edema, hypoglycemia, acidosis, and certain hematological abnormalities like anemia due to the accelerated destruction of the RBC by the spleen, which lead to ineffective erythropoiesis. Sometimes there is thrombocytopenia, reduce in the platelet count. Less than 5% of the patient may have significant bleeding due to DIC and jaundice. In this, cerebral malaria is one of the most common complications and more of the most common as well as serious complication of P. falciparum malaria. Chronic complications of the malaria are tropical splenomegaly and quatern malarial nephropathy, which lead to nephrotoxicity. These are my references. Thank you.